Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your spring 2025 reading. My name is Nigel, and you have found Alchemy. Okay, what this is it's your sort of summary for April, May, and June. We're going to take some of these same cards and bring them into your individual monthly readings and do an expanded reading. And as you know, all my readings are free. So, but I thought this would be kind of an interesting thing to do to sort of summarize your spring and kind of take a peek into certain aspects, okay? Now, up here is your overarching energy for the whole season. You have the deer, and it says gentleness, right? And it says this is a reminder to be more gentle with yourself and others. The grace, sensitivity, and gentleness of the spirit animal echo the qualities brought forth when living from the heart. So it is gentleness. Gentleness is on the table. Innocence, vulnerability. You may feel a little uncomfortable with that, with feeling vulnerable at some point this season. Here you have nothing. It says nothing will come of this situation, but this is moon void of course energy. And this moon, I have to tell you, when you get the moon void of course card, look into the moon void of course dates for each individual month. There's going to be several, and try not to plan anything too important on those dates. It's not something that, it's not like a live or die type thing, but you're less likely to have success on those days. You can still have success, but it's just less likely. So anything that's super important, try to avoid those dates. You have wind, and the winds of change are upon you. When the wind card comes up, it is change, it is movement, it is generally very positive. Now, last but not least, you do have Cancer, and Cancer is number 4 in the series. But man, Cancer is a big freaking deal for you for some reason. And as we know, Cancer season does start in June, but there's a lot going on. I would say in June, to be honest with you, it's not just that one day. And you'll see what I'm saying. I'm going to rattle off a bunch of dates. You may want to write some of this stuff down, or you could revert back to it at the end of the reading if you want. But we can keep that kind of in mind because it looks like May and June are pretty busy. So when we do your months, we'll keep that in mind in the background a little bit, right? So let's start with April. In April, we have on April 4th, Mars in Cancer, sextile Uranus in Taurus. It's a lucky day for you. Things they'll just come easily for you, right? So stay motivated, but also stay humble. Humble is a really big, important thing. Also on March 4th, we have Mars in Cancer, trine Saturn in Pisces, and it's a good day to rally people together for a cause, right? Collaboration of any kind is on the table for that day. On April 6th, we have Venus in Pisces, trine Mars in Cancer. And it's time to bask in life's pleasures, right? Delicious food, delicious sex, delicious romance, delicious... I mean, even if it's a hike, if you find that amazing, go for a massage, whatever it is you find decadent, to do it that day. Now, May, actually, it's more June. So we're going to skip right to June because June is packed, right? On June 8th, we have Mercury entering Cancer, and a reflection on the past is highlighted that day. Embrace nostalgia. Revisit what makes you happy. Whatever made you happy in the past, it's time to revisit it. It could be the birth of a child. It could be you graduating from school. It could be anything that was touching and moving and pivotal in a very positive way. It's a nice day to revisit all those memories. On June 9th, we have Mercury in Cancer square Saturn in Pisces, and it is a big day for misunderstandings. So be mindful of overreacting, Taurus, okay? And also be mindful of other people that may overreact to some of the things you say or that you don't mean or whatever. Let's see. I have to shut my phone off because it seems like I just don't catch a break. And every time I forget to shut it off, that's what happens. I apologize for that. Okay, so on June 9th. Yes, also on June 9th. We have that day for misunderstandings, but also on June 9th we have Jupiter entering Cancer. And for the rest of the year, it brings luck. Right? The luck is highlighted. Trusting your own feelings can bring success. Your gut feelings are on the table. So that's going to be super important. Also on June 9th seems to be action-packed. Mercury in Cancer square Neptune in Aries, and not ideal for business deals. Information can get easily distorted, so postpone any business deals or even social events that you need to, if you need to share information at a social event, it's probably not the best time to do it. And if you have to do it, just realize that information can be easily distorted, right? On June 11th, we have Mercury in Cancer, sextile Venus in Taurus. Relax, express love to strengthen your relationships. Expression of love is important. On June 15th, we have Jupiter in Cancer, square Saturn in Aries. Expansive Jupiter squares off against restrictive Saturn, and tension is present, right? Progress comes through collaboration and empathy. You have to be empathized with the other party. That will absolutely help this aspect. On June 18th, we have Jupiter in Cancer square Neptune in Aries. And this aspect can lead to a crisis of faith. Our reality might not match what we wanted it to be at this point in our lives, right? Our ideals, our dreams. We may feel disappointment. It may leave you questioning everything. Be cautious on this day about placing trust in anyone. Avoid that just today, okay? On June 20th, the sun finally enters Cancer, and it's also summer solstice. So celebrate the longest day of the year. Definitely feed your imagination and feel imaginative. Compassion is on the table once again. You may need to feel compassion for someone else that day. Maybe a touch moody. You could be a touch moody. On June 22nd, we have Mars in Virgo, sextile Jupiter in Cancer. It's a very bold aspect that empowers you to move forward, take risks, and trust yourself. Also on June 22nd, we have Sun in Cancer, square Saturn in Aries. And this restrictive aspect can feel a little burdensome. Now, on June 23rd, and I told you this a lot, right? On June 23rd, we have Sun in Cancer, square Neptune in Aries. The confusion is afoot. The confusion is going to be a big deal, at least for part of June, okay? Competition may be at its peak. On June 24th, we have Sun in Cancer conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. And it's a very gentle aspect, and it brings good luck and growth in all areas of your life. On June 25th, we finally have our new moon in Cancer, and emotions are a source of strength, not weakness today. And that should be your mantra. Emotions are a source of strength and not weakness today. On June 26th, we have Mercury in Cancer, sextile Uranus and Taurus. And it says, this tells us, what it says to us, right, is to view problems from a grounded emotional perspective. So you're emotional, but you're grounded, right? You're not lost in that emotion, but you're not emotionless either. I don't know if that makes sense to you. And once again, trusting your gut is super important. Finally, on June 26th, the sun is in Cancer, sextile Mars in Virgo. Focus on your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's a good day to recommit to yourself. Whatever you've maybe fallen slacking on, it could be a fitness routine, it could be therapy, it could be meditation, it could be anything that makes you feel like you're growing, that's healthy for you. Recommit all that to yourself. So it looks like June's a seriously important month. Let's start with April down here, and we'll move to June. It is not surprising after everything we just said that you have pulled the High Priestess. And in this deck, the High Priestess is pure water moon energy. So there's that moon aspect. I would definitely look up the moon void of course's dates. Think that somehow it's important to you this month. When she comes up in a reading, especially in this deck, she's telling you to trust your gut. She conveys security and toughness. And very classic High Priestess. She has those pillars on either side of her. And the pillars represent the duality between the masculine and the feminine. Right? She takes her place in between them. And, it's not man, woman. It is like that fiery masculine energy that's full of confidence and forward motion and drive, coupled with that feminine energy of intuitiveness, using your gut feeling compassion, feeling empathy. She's right in between them, right? The moon on her head, she's wearing a headpiece. The moon on her head is a direct link to the divine feminine, and it's a symbol of intuition, right? She enjoys sharing her knowledge with people, but only ones that she deems worthy or open to it, right? So yeah, and there, I'm jumping ahead a little, but there is no doubt that your intuition is going to play a role because you have the divine feminine card. So yeah, man or woman, you should be, at least in the spring, especially in April, leaning on your intuition, your gut feeling. Your logic may not serve you as well as it has in the past. You have here Capricorn in reverse, the devil in reverse, and this is the release of any remaining toxic energy that may have had you bound, right? It could be perhaps the earthly chains that bind us. It doesn't have to be addiction. It can be. This is a question for you, Taurus. What are your personal chains? Is it sex? Is it shopping? Is it a drive to acquire wealth? It's something that you need to release and that I think you will release, or this could be the remnants of something you have released, or maybe you've released something and made room for something else. Very, very positive energy here, but you have the Page of Swords following this up. And the Page of Swords is Mercury and Gemini energy, using logic and reason along with this feminine energy, right? Logic and reason. You could be studying something new for sure. All right, new ideas, new planning. It could be messages going back and forth between you and someone else. Now, what's interesting here is you have the Tower as advice for this time. And, the Tower can get a bad rap, but in the advice column, I really like it. It could be looked at as Mars energy or Pluto energy, depending on what book you read, right? But it is explosive energy, and it's change. And this advice is that there is a change at hand, but you may have to take a brave, and sometimes maybe even scary leap of faith. This advice is change as a necessity to get you to the next level. Change as a necessity. If we're not changing, Taurus, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, we're not truly alive, right? So there is that. And I really like that. And what's interesting is that the devil and the Tower are consecutive in the Tower deck. So it's like one naturally leads to the other. Somehow there's that connection there too. And in between, you have that page, that communication, that new idea. Yeah, very interesting reading. But I like the divine feminine that keeps coming out over and over again, that intuition. You're using your gut more so than you normally might, okay? Now, as we move on to May, we have the Judgment card. And in this deck, it is pure Pluto energy. Let's see. In this deck, it is a fire-water combo. And once again, the feminine and the masculine. Fire is a masculine element. Water is a feminine element. So it's those two pillars again, right, coming up. And Judgment is an inner calling. It could be an epiphany. It's lessons from the past, right? They have a great impact on you at this time. And you have a reward coming to you, or at the very least, some sort of liberation. You are being called to a higher purpose. There's something calling you. Now, you do have the Knight of Cups. And as we know in tarot, all the knights, every knight is on a mission, right? Different mission. And this is Saturn and Pisces energy. This knight is on a mission of romance, kindness, compassion, beauty, right? Water energy again. Water is a big deal for you this spring. It is. And it's coupled with something interesting. It's coupled with the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords is Venus and Aquarius energy. You may feel defensive at some point. This is a pride-based standoff. Could be an argument you have with someone. It's on the table. It's a standoff. But are you sharing the truth, or are you showing a facade of the truth? Are you not showing the truth? It seems as though you have this soft, intuitive, compassionate thing trying to emerge, and something clicks and twists those horns. And so you become defensive. You become prideful. Not egotistical is probably the wrong word. Prideful for sure, right? Your pride gets in the way of something here. And the advice here is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the Seven of Pentacles is Saturn and Taurus energy. And this is asking you to pause, reassess your efforts. It's encouraging patience. It signifies a need for perseverance despite what is going on. So there is that. Okay. Now, as we move on to June, which, as you remember, was that very action-packed month, astrologically speaking, up top here, we have, and it's really not surprising, we have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is pure air energy in this deck. And as you can see, there is like, I would say a soldier, and he has a crown. I'll hold this up to you in a second. He has a crown on the floor, right? So he is looked at in a certain way. He has a lot of pride in that way, right? So his crown is on the floor. His helmet that he goes to war with is on the table, and he is sort of naked, only with his emotions. He cannot sleep, but he does have the stars right outside that hold some hope. But here he is, naked, and he could be a she, naked with his emotions, right? The war helmet's off, the king's crown is off, and he is naked to feel what he feels. The next card up is the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is Mercury and Virgo energy, and it could be a missed opportunity, right? And that may be why you feel the way you feel. You feel that you have missed an opportunity, okay? This is followed up by, though, the Emperor, right? And we know, if you've watched any tarot at all, that he's I mean, listen, it's almost as if you remember who you are, right? The Emperor, Aries energy, is superior major arcana. He is the person that every other archetype answers to in this deck, okay? It represents success, a building, in my opinion, of a skeletal structure for a relationship. So it looks like a relationship reading. It really does. Now, I'm positive that when I go through your main reading for all 3 months, it's going to be different, and this is going to be one aspect of it. But I have to tell you, whatever it is you go through here is almost like a necessary evil. There is one, it's like when you have to face that one last boss, and this is all going on inside your own head. You feel like you've finished the game, and you're like, okay, I've leveled up. But it's almost like the universe is coming in and saying, not so quick. You have to face this one last thing. It's almost going on. It's all going on inside you. But it looks like you step up, right? Because you have here integration and a union on the table, coupled with that fire masculine energy. And that fire masculine energy is what encompasses that Emperor. So you are feeling the empathy, the pain, whatever it is you're feeling from this course, but it revs you up and it snaps you into this masculine, confident fire energy, and you integrate. And what's wonderful about this is the advice. The advice is the 10 of Cups. Look, I mean, that's like a happily ever after. And I'm really glad I shuffle and do everything on camera so you could see I didn't do that purposely, right? So the 10 of Cups fell out by itself. And the advice is to create a long-term security, long-term happiness within a relationship. It is a good omen. This represents that building of something stable, not just something fly by night that can end at any moment, right? Something that has longevity, a nice balance. But aside from a nice balance, something that you could really count on, right? Something that somebody else can look at you and count on. It's really important stuff, right? This isn't just sex. This is something different. Yeah. Now, when we add all your numbers up and we break it down, it's really no surprise that we get Venus, your ruling planet. Now, yes, it's also the planet of love. And it goes with this reading. It just does, right? We are going to pull some stuff to see what you don't see coming as you're watching this. But you do have fog here that's going to be prevalent this month. You're not going to feel clear. When I say this month, I mean this season, really. You're not going to feel clear every single step of the way. You're going to feel confusion. You're going to feel you don't know which way to go, especially in May and June, okay? Especially in June, too. You know, like you're going to feel a little foggy, all right? Now, being that we pulled the number 6 for your reading, we're going to dig into these decks. We're going to pull 6 cards to see what it is Taurus doesn't see coming as of today. What you don't see coming, Taurus, definitely is growth. And you're going to experience this growth by the summer. if you play your cards right. Now, listen, I could sit here all day and read for you, right? And if you don't take the necessary steps to make certain changes, then your life is not going to change. None of this is going to happen to you. But if you do, it depends what you want. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself what it is you want, right? But let's keep going. You're going to have decisions to make. Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me that came out. It's kind of like what I just said, right? You're going to have decisions to make, and that's going to be determine whether you get your justice, your balance, your karma, right? And you're going to have this celebratory energy. There's a potential here for that, but you have to give up the need to control. There is going to be this thing that you have, and it's almost like a defense mechanism, this need to control, and it's not going to serve you in this situation. You have an apology, forgiveness on the table. This is your last card, by the way. Now, this could be you in this time having to set your pride aside and apologize for something, or set your pride aside and say, listen, in the past I've acted X, Y, and Z. This maybe someone's coming to you with an apology. It could very well be, and you're going to have to sort of swallow your pride and say, okay, I forgive you. But there is definitely forgiveness here on the table that you need to tap into. Let's dig into this deck a little bit. So you have Cancer energy again, right? Cancer is a big deal for you. It just is. You have the Chariot, the potential to move forward. You don't see it. You may not see it. You definitely won't see it every single aspect of the spring. You won't. But you have the potential to move forward. There is going to be some stress involved, and it's going to be there whether you win or not. But you are going to move forward here, Taurus, into a better place. And here you are. Taurus has come out, right? You have the Hierophant here in reverse, which means, and I think this has come out in your reading before, you have to do things differently than you've done them if you want a different result. Different, very different. You're going to have to approach this situation differently, because there is going to be a clash at one point or another. And I do think it's going to be in May. For most of you. Now, this isn't a science, right? This could happen at any time during the spring, but there's going to be a clash, and how you handle the clash is going to determine this next card, this card of success. This is your last card, success, victory. This is a nice reading. It's an interesting reading. It is a reading for someone that has choices. Not a lot of people have the choices that you're going to be presented with, but you're going to have to ask yourself, what is it that still binds me, right, to my old life? And what do I need to break free from in order to move into this new life, if that's what you so choose? Choices abound. Growth is possible, but you're going to have to put in some internal work here and think outside your own box. I wish you the best, and I'll see you during this expanded reading. I'm definitely going to pull some of these same cards so we could expand upon that in April, May, and June. I wish you nothing but the best. Namaste.